Hey everybody, this is Troy Alexander, Inspiration with Troy Alexander. One more time, you know what my motto is? Dream, take that step and walk with purpose into your destiny. Listen, every week we come on live. I got a thumbs up from the producer. Every week we come on live to encourage you to hold on to your dream and to never give up on your dream. We're excited tonight. We have a phenomenal guest, but before we get there, listen, stay connected with us. We're on Facebook, Troy Alexander. Listen, Instagram, I love taking pictures, y'all, at Pick by Design, at Pick by Design. We're on YouTube, Inspiration with Troy Alexander. And guess what? Our nonprofit, calltoinspire.org, calltoinspire.org. And guess what, y'all? We just launched our book of poetry. Yes, we did. Inspiring Dreams, My Goodness, Purpose, and Destiny. It's on Amazon, y'all. You can get it. Yes, I said it. You can get it on Amazon.com. Listen, it is pinned to my Facebook page. It's also the link at my website, calltoinspire.org, and go to the contact. Listen, I'm telling you right now, and if you want a personalized signed copy, don't order from Amazon, but contact me directly. DM me or email me at IamInspiredTroy@gmail.com or m.troyalexander@yahoo.com or even call to inspire at AOL.com. Stay connected with us, y'all. We are going places, and I'm excited tonight about what is to take place, not only, but for you. Yes, I am. And tonight we have a phenomenal guest. Oh my, I'm so excited to have her on our broadcast tonight. Listen, she is a Harvard University student, sophomore, and her focus is in physics and education. Listen, she's on TikTok. My goodness, has over 100,000 followers. Yes, she does. And she talks about high school and college content. And she collaborates, yes, with brands like Dell and Sony Music and JCPenney. Listen, she is the founder of the Queen Next Door, which is a blog that is dedicated to uplifting women and girls through positivity pageantry or positive pageantry. Listen, she is Miss New Jersey and New York co-director of the Ultimate International Miss Pageant System. My goodness, listen, she is a 6-time Miss New York. Listen, we're going to talk about that too, 6 times. Listen, also a spoken word poet, words that have reached millions, including Lupita and Chadwick Boseman. My goodness, rest in peace. She's also been commissioned work for the United Nations. Listen, welcome, please, Jordan Sanchez. How are you, Jordan, tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. It is such an honor to have you on our broadcast. You are just a phenomenal individual, a phenomenal person. I mean, you are a light of inspiration. Listen, I know a lot of people, but I'm telling you, you are just the star that continues to rise. I have to ask you, you are a sophomore at Harvard. Tell me, what is your focus? Because you're doing physics and education. What profession are you seeking to take over? Because I'm telling y'all, she's gonna take it over. Whatever she does, she takes it over. So what is your ultimate goal in your educational realm of your life?
When it comes to education, my goal is definitely to actually become a physics professor. I took my very first physics class in my junior year of high school, and it was so much fun. My teacher really got me excited about the subject. And now at Harvard, I'm taking all these physics classes, and I know that the life of academia is not easy, but it is very flexible. And the idea of like having a family and being surrounded by all of these really educated and inspired and driven people, it's just like an opportunity that you really cannot pass up. So I'm super excited about that, but really I'm open to wherever life kind of takes me.
Wow. Well, listen, Joe, I gotta ask you, was it hard getting to Harvard? Be honest now. Be honest. Listen. Everybody don't get into Harvard or get into, but you know what? Just between me and you, was it hard to get into Harvard?
The thing is, a lot of students ask me that. They're like, oh my gosh, is Harvard hard? Is getting into Harvard hard? And I think you have to look at it almost in a different way. Like college applications in itself is hard. It's a lot of essays to write. I think I wrote 10,000 words worth of essays in like a month or something. But high school is also hard. And college applications is really a marathon. It's working on it throughout your entire high school career. It's following what you love and staying up with those late nights doing homework or pursuing your passion project. But the thing is, I never went through high school thinking, okay, I'm doing this to get into Harvard. I was just doing what I loved. So it was always fun and
Wow.
easy. So by the time I got into Harvard and people are asking, was getting into Harvard hard? I was like, well, I just did what I love and I got into Harvard. So that's how it went.
I love that, Jordan. Listen, what you said was so powerful and profound. You did what you love, and that opened the door, right? But that took you to a place. And I love the fact that you want to be a physics professor. My goodness, you must love young people, young adults, because I'm telling you, that's like, and so it's amazing that's the field you want to go into, and physics and inspire it, because teachers, in my opinion, they mold, right? They mold the world. And so is that something that you want to do, like in that capacity?
Exactly. Like growing up, I feel like I've always kind of gravitated towards things like this. I have two younger siblings, so always kind of taking the mentorship role. And then in high school, I applied to mentor freshman students. And then in college, or actually in high school, I started with Queen Next Door, which that in itself is indirectly mentoring girls. And now I coach girls formally as well. But now in Harvard, when I started my TikTok page and now I'm helping kids through the college application process, to me, it seemed like I very naturally gravitated towards some kind of mentorship and youth empowerment. And I feel like in college, when kids are saying, yes, I'm going to take this extremely hard physics class, it's like, they're really excited about it. And that's what I'm excited to see.
Oh, and so tell me about, so you say that it was in high school where you took a physics class and that's what inspired you?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What was it about that class that said, this is where I want to go?
It's the teacher. It was actually two things. It was
Wow.
the teacher and the course itself. So a lot of people think physics is incredibly hard, and that's because it is. Usually when I tell people I'm a physics major, they're like, wow, you must be so smart in order to enjoy that subject. But physics actually does not come very easily to me. Like, I'm not naturally good at it at all. I'm just very, very passionate about it. And I think for most people in the world, the thing that they're good at and the thing that they want to do are actually not one and the same. You usually have to work really hard at the thing that you love. And I chose that physics would be that thing for me. And something that I loved about that was just the teacher was so enthusiastic. He made it fun. He made it relatable to us. And physics, I think, taught me how to learn in a new way. Like a lot of school is just memorizing vocabulary words and then filling out bubbles on a Scantron. But physics really forces you to reimagine the world and kind of change the way you think about things.
Wow. Listen, everybody, this is why she's amazing. Listen, please, I'm telling you, make sure you stay connected to Jordan, because she is phenomenal. Listen, you have mentioned TikTok a number of times, and I read in your bio, you have over 100,000 followers. Now listen, I'm not on TikTok, but I know that people have made a living off of TikTok. So listen, I gotta ask you, what inspired you to do TikTok, but not just TikTok, but TikTok with a purpose that talks about the content, oh my goodness, of education in high school and college? What inspired you to go that route?
Well, first, I have to acknowledge the fact that I've wanted to be kind of like famous in some way since I was little. I'm definitely not there yet. But when I was younger, I was like, wow, I want to be like on the cheer team. I want to be a pageant girl, and I want to be like on TV. I want to be a celebrity. Like, I want people to know who I am. So that's kind of the context we're coming from. And then while I was applying to colleges, I was watching a lot of videos where students were just sharing the essays that got them into a certain school. And I was making jokes with my friends. I was like, you know what? If I get into Harvard or Yale or any of those good schools, I'm going to post a video reading the essay that got me into that school. And then I got in and I was like, okay, it's time to start this. So I started actually with the YouTube channel back in 2019. Then I was like, oh my gosh, it's taking so much time and energy. And then I really discovered TikTok last year, and it was actually May of last year. So really in the middle of the pandemic, I was like, wow, in a year from now, I could be so far ahead. Like, I could be doing awesome stuff. I don't even know what could happen in a year. So if I start this page right now, then I know future Jordan would really thank me for it. So that's why I did it, kind of thinking about myself in the future. And a whole bunch of great stuff has happened in a year. So it's been awesome.
Now, Jordan, now you make it sound so like, oh, well, last May we just started TikTok and all that. Listen, I gotta ask you, like, how did it grow? Like because I mean, over 100,000 followers, right? Like, did it happen overnight? Did it take months? Did it take weeks? Because I can only imagine what that's like.
Yeah, it was a very long, tiring process. I mean, college kind of ends in May, so that's when I was like, okay, I have all this free time, and if I'm doing this for future Jordan, let me just do it as hard as I can. So I actually started with posting like 2 videos a day for a couple of months, and it wasn't until actually this time last year, like August 1st of last year, I gained over 20,000 followers over a weekend because I did a live stream helping kids through the college application process, specifically with the Common Application Portal. And a whole bunch of students were like, wow, this is amazing. Like, thank you so much. Please help me for the rest of the semester. So I just kept posting content like that. And then as I started to get into my little Harvard groove, a lot of students were curious about what Harvard was like and if it was actually a place that they would enjoy. Because a lot of people see it as kind of a dream and they're like, I want to apply, or I feel like I have to apply to Harvard because it's the best school, but I don't know if I'd like it there. So just kind of sharing my life and my journey as a Black woman in STEM at Harvard has been a lot of fun.
Wow, wow. I'm going to give you applause on that one because that is, listen, I love it because you're helping others, right? You're using that platform to inspire and to, and you have a skill set that you're helping them to kind of get through a door that might be hard for some to even get through. So I applaud you. That's wonderful. It's powerful. 20,000 in a weekend? Come on, that's what I'm talking about, Jordan. That's what I'm talking about. That is awesome and amazing. Well, listen, I applaud you because that is phenomenal. Now, be honest, was it a bit overwhelming?
I think what's more overwhelming is the hate comments. But
really?
yeah,
Wow.
as a Black girl at really like Harvard, but really any kind of predominantly white institution, you get a lot of backlash. A lot of students will say, I didn't deserve to get there. And I'm like, did you see my resume? What are you talking about? But a lot of students, they're usually just hurt and echoing the things that their parents have told them or that their friends have told them. So I know not to take it personally. But with like, I've also received a lot of love and positivity. A lot of Black and brown students have applied to these Ivy League institutions, but not just that, have applied to college, period, because I show that it's something that's very tangible for them to do. So I have a lot of students who are like, wow, I really see you as my big sister. Without you, I wouldn't have applied to college at all. I probably would have just gone to community college. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We all have our own paths. But for students that are in environments where people aren't supporting them or encouraging them to really dream big, I think it really means a lot to have someone who looks like them, who is kind of their age and who is exactly where they want to be, saying, you know what, I believe in you. I think you got this.
Wow. Wow. Well, listen, Jordan, again, I need to applaud you because you are such a phenomenal inspiration and example to so many. Listen, I went to Rutgers, right? But again, I know a lot of people around the world, but you as a woman and a woman of color, to be able to be an example, right? To so many brown and Black young girls to say, yes, you can do this. I mean, that is truly powerful and amazing. And so we applaud you. Thank you. Just continue to just do what you do. Because I think you're the first person that I've ever met that went to Harvard. Or that's going to Harvard. So it's amazing. So I'm even inspired by you. I mean, it's wonderful, you know, and so many young girls today and young boys or young men need to be able to see examples, right, of somebody who has achieved it. And not only that, but you didn't keep it to yourself. Like you wanted to give back. And that's what now, have you always been that way, to just give back and to mentor? Because that is a heart place. That's a heart place. And not everybody does it. So like what moved on you to do that? And not only once, but continue to do it.
I think the main thing is that I'm a writer at heart. I always tell people like, I'm a writer. And a lot of that comes from me wanting to record things. And a lot of the time that manifests in me wanting to record my journey and how things happen, so that now when I'm older, I actually can read the letters that my younger self wrote to me now. So that's how a lot of it really started. It's me wanting to kind of track my progress and see if I'm improving and going in the direction that I want to go in. And that's kind of what happened with the Queen Next Door, that happened with Harvard. And then I noticed that other people can benefit from it. So that's how the attention or the content shifts from, okay, here's what I did today, to here's what I did today, so here's what you can do tomorrow. Kind of putting that extra element on it so that it's more helpful to people.
Amazing. Now, Jordan, you have to explain to me and everybody watching and that will watch. I've heard you say your future self. I've heard you say your younger self. Where did that come from? Because a lot of young people, listen, they're not thinking, let me do something now for my future self to be able to look back on, or let me think about my where did that concept come from?
I think I've been this way for as long as I can remember. In elementary school, actually, I had a humanities teacher, and she would tell us about history and how there are artifacts, and how some of the most important artifacts are actually diary entries. So something that I did a lot actually was writing diary entries, not to be read by me, but to be read by future historians who discover it somehow. I don't know why I thought that my diary of all would be preserved in some kind of museum, but I always thought oh my gosh, okay, I have to write this down so people in the future know what life today was like. And it's just always been like that. And I think that's how little Jordan really understood or got to understanding this concept of the world has a timeline and I have my place in it. But there are also people who exist after me, and there are people who have existed before me. So it's very interesting. I guess I've always seen writing and just documenting stories as a way of documenting time and really showing growth, but also just communicating, hey, this is what we care about now. What are you caring about next year and the 200 years after that?
Wow, you are so, that is a phenomenal way of thought. Oh my goodness, Jordan, I love that. Oh my goodness. So I may have to try to, think about it, but actually I do like recording. So I do love video because people can look back on it, right? And remember, and it can hear you and see you. And so I love that. So I'm so proud of you for even being so young and thinking about that going forward. I love that about you. So listen, how did you get connected for Tic-Tock? Now you're with Dell, Sony Music. These are prominent corporations. How did you get connected with them on Tic-Tock?
So this is actually going to sound very crazy, but all of them actually reached out to me. I was just doing my thing on TikTok.
I'm not surprised. Trust me, I'm not surprised, Jordan, but go ahead.
I was just doing my thing on TikTok, posting videos. Once I hit around the 50,000 follower march in kind of late August, I would say, I started to get a lot of really small brands reaching out to me. And I was like, whoa, I guess I'm an influencer now. So I would say yes. And this is something that I think has really led to all of my kind of success and all my accomplishments now. My big thing is put yourself out there and always say yes. So whenever I had brands reaching out to me, they would be like, do you want to do this? I was like, yep, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. So I started to kind of develop or have a collection of videos where I've been posting sponsored content. And then at some point, these brands started reaching out to me. I think it started first with Sony Music, not Sony Music. Actually, yes, it did start with Sony Music. So they said they were having a panel for college students or for high school students going into college, and they wanted college students to sit on the panel, like college influencers. And one of the directors of Sony Music U, he actually went to his team. He said, everyone come up with a list of influencers you think would be good for this. And he said that out of the 20 people in the room, 11 of them had my name on their list. And he's like, oh my God, after I saw that, I just couldn't wait to meet you. So of course I sat on the panel, and now I'll actually be joining his team as a college rep for Sony Music U, which is awesome. And then with everything else, it also just kind of came that way. I had someone from Dell reach out to me. They're like, hey, we're doing this influencer program. Do you want us to send you a laptop and a monitor, and we'll pay you some money every month? I was like, of course, you didn't have to ask. So it's just been one thing after another. And even with that LA trip, it was for a learning platform called High Meal. And I've always wanted to be a teacher. So being able to literally teach AP Physics 1 and Algebra 2 has just been awesome. So all these things have been coming, and then I have stuff coming out with Bed Bath & Beyond and all these other companies, Redbubble as well, Crocs, all these amazing opportunities. But it just goes to show, past Jordan a year ago was right. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this right now, and future Jordan will be thankful for me for it. And we'll see what'll happen in a year. And I'm just really actually overwhelmed and just shocked that all of this has been able to happen in such a short period of time.
Wow. So proud of you. I don't have an applause button, so I have to actually do it. Wonderful, Jordan. Oh my goodness. Listen, that is just phenomenal. I'm so happy for you and so proud of you. So continue on. Listen, there is no limit. Really, there's no limit. And before we leave it, what's your TikTok? So if folks want to follow you or connect, and we're gonna do all of your media, but for TikTok, since we're talking about it now, how can people follow you on that?
Yeah, so my TikTok is Happy Jordan. Happy spelled Happie and then Jordan. Again, that's Happie Jordan. It was actually inspired by my neighbor and a lot of my friends' parents saying like, "Oh my gosh, Jordan, every time I see you, you're smiling. Like you're always so happy all the time." So I was like, "Okay,
Wow.
Happy Jordan. That's gonna be my username."
Wow, amazing. So I gotta ask you now, Jordan, how did you learn? Tell me the process for your TikTok. So like it sounds like it's what you do typically, or what you may just do a part of your journey and not something extra. But I want you to explain like how long does it take to record? Do you have to do it over again? Are you live? Are you recording it? Like what is your time commitment to that process?
Well, it really depends on the video. Sometimes it's like 30 seconds, and I would literally just take out my phone, record the video and post it, and it'll get a couple 100,000 views. And it really just depends on the value you're giving students. So this actually happened a lot in the fall semester because I was editing students' essays and I was working with them one-on-one through mentoring calls. And I love writing. So obviously I'm like, okay, I see the mistakes that students are making, but I see the successes they're making as well. So in order to help students who I wasn't able to meet with one-on-one, because I can't unfortunately talk to all 100,000 students, I would just post a video with some really common mistakes I was seeing. And a lot of students would find value in that. So they'd be like, yes, it's amazing. And they would just ask for more like little quick tip videos like that. Sometimes I'm recording a video that literally takes place over a day. So for example, like a day in my life video or a vlog or something like that, then it'll be me recording lots of mini snippets throughout the day, and then editing it at the end of the day. And that probably altogether would take maybe like an hour when you like put everything into account, but it isn't like really a long time at all. But now that I'm working with obviously more serious brands, I'm like, okay, I gotta up my content, gotta make sure it's good.
Wow.
So I've just been like learning more about video editing. And just yesterday, when I was recording a video, the video itself ended up being like 20, 30 seconds, like average length of a TikTok video. But editing and everything actually took me an hour and a half for a 30-second video, which is insane. But that also includes like lighting setup and staging the room because it's like a dorm decor video. So it definitely varies depending on what kind of video I'm up for posting.
Now, Jordan, do you have a production crew or this is just all you?
It's just all me. Yesterday, I was actually like setting up these products I'm supposed to talk about in a video on this table. I had my camera on my tripod. In my hand, I was holding like my ring light because I needed an extra tripod, but it was downstairs. And then I was holding another light in my hand. And it was just like, it's so funny to see like the behind the scenes stuff, but it's all worth it.
Listen, Jordan, listen, you are at a place now. You can find a student. So listen, I'll proofread your paper for you to hold my camera or to hold the line. So I'm sure you can find somebody that can help you.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing, amazing. Listen, I'm just again so proud of you. Now, one more question on TikTok because you're so. Listen, everybody, this could be like a 2-hour special. It really could be, right? But I want to ask you, did you feel any more pressure, or did you feel pressure with now these corporations are asking you to kind of come on their platform or to promote their products and stuff? Like, did you feel differently doing the TikTok?
It becomes more of a job and less of a hobby. Like when I first started TikTok, it wasn't like to make money. It was what little Jordan wanted, which was a little bit of fame. And if I help people along the way, cool. And then as I started like doing more essay edits and really talking to the students one-on-one, I was like, okay, this is really like to help students. And now that we're kind of in the off season for college applications, I'm getting a whole bunch of brands. So it's less of like, okay, I'm doing this kind of mentorship thing, and more of like, okay, I really need to make sure this video is good, and I need to contribute like a couple of hours each week to planning content and getting ready for filming and actually filming and editing. So the relationship with the work kind of changes, but I still want to hold on to the casual element I have with my followers. Like last year or last fall during the election, I was live streaming the results on my TikTok. I had like 400 people there, and we were just making jokes about like the casters, like the news presenters. We were like, okay, guys, we got another state, go team. And I made a whole bunch of inside jokes. I've also been able to do like live streams where we're watching Dance Moms, like random things like that. I always want to keep that like casual and fun element with all of my followers, even if I am working with Dell and Sony and all those companies.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I do have one more. I said that was gonna be the last one, but I got one more because you mentioned earlier about a lot of the negative comments. I want to just talk briefly, if you can share, how did you learn to overcome or just go through that? Because a lot of young people, they have a hard time, right? They have a hard time with people criticizing or giving negative comments or just really hurtful things, you know. So how did you learn how to see it but keep moving forward?
At first, and I was on YouTube, it wasn't that many comments. It would just be like, okay, one negative one every few weeks. And I like to stand up for myself. So I would usually respond to them, and I would like send the screenshot and send it to all my group chats and friends. I'd be like, look how stupid this person is. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. So really just like kind of having fun with it. But then with TikTok, obviously more followers, a lot more hate, but especially when a video goes viral. I've had a few videos, one of them having over, I think, 6.4 million views. And when you get a video like that, it usually gets a lot more negative comments. And it's usually over something that you never really know could even like cause such like flashback or just like some kind of negative response. Like in that specific video, it was a playful video. I was like, things in my Harvard dorm room that just makes sense. It was a little TikTok trend going around. And I said something about how I keep like a collection of bags, because in my household, and like most Black households in America, we all do that. We keep a bag of bags. And a whole bunch of students had something to say about that. I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? Like, we're just having fun here. I don't know. So of course, I've started to block people. I've started to filter comments as well, so those comments don't even show up. But something that I've actually noticed is that a lot of my followers will actually come to my defense in the comments. Like, I've seen full-on comment arguments with someone saying a hateful comment and then all my followers being like, shut up, Jordan's doing this. So it's been really funny just being able to focus on the positive and support system. So whether I was just starting out on YouTube and no one was really watching me, or I'm on TikTok with 100,000 followers, it goes back to showing it to kind of to your support system and being like, hey, this is funny, let's just laugh at it instead of really taking it to heart.
Awesome and amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that, because somebody needed to hear, right? How do you get through it? You know, because they see you there, but how do you get? So thank you so much for sharing that, Jordan. Amazing. I want to talk a little bit about what inspired you to start the Queen Next Door, this blog dedicated to uplifting women and girls through positive pageantry. Why was that important to you?
Yeah, so I actually started the Queen Next Door April 1st of 2018. And I had just finished competing at NAM Nationals. It was like my second national pageant ever. And NAM was my first pageant. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this. And I didn't get a placement, which like at the time, I wasn't torn up about the placement. I was rather like really upset about my performance, because I knew that I prepared to perform better than that. I knew I had a lot more potential, that was definitely not my best, even at any given time. So I started the Queen Next Door to, one, document my journey in pageantry, to like share my progress and like tips and tricks that I've learned. But also I think pageantry is almost a hidden industry in that there are so many things about it that you can only learn from experience. And there are a lot of girls who are like, I want to do pageants, but I don't know, it's a little weird. It seems very intimidating. So by kind of sharing your story, by sharing the stories of other girls in pageantry and how they got to where they are, in addition to just sharing all the things that you've learned along the way, it makes pageantry a lot less intimidating. And I've been so happy to reach, I think, over like 70,000 people. We just hit that mark, I think last month or something. And now I've been coaching a few girls, and a lot of first-time pageant girls actually have found the Queen Next Door, which was like so happy for me to hear.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out, like, when did you find time to do all, I mean, to do school, to do blogging, to do TikTok. Listen, and not even isn't the half of it, everybody. I mean, to what this amazing young lady is doing. So how do you find the time?
People always ask you that, but like I just take it one day at a time. And as someone who
Wow.
like always says yes to everything, I definitely don't recommend it to everyone because it does become a lot. But when you say yes to everything, you get a lot on your plate. And I remember 2018 was actually the year when my spoken word poetry career started to take off as well. So I remember having a lot to do. I remember like once I had a spoken word performance from like 6 to 10 p.m. But earlier in that day, I had an AP exam. So I was memorizing a show script while also studying. And it was just a lot, but really I take it one day at a time. I have my Google Calendar, I have my planning apps, and I do what I can with future Jordan always in mind. I'm like, okay, if I finish this assignment right now, then Jordan won't have to worry about it tomorrow. And that'll make life a little bit easier for her.
Wow. Well, listen, not only everybody is she this phenomenal, famous TikTok, I mean, Harvard, I mean, she is just doing everything at the most excellent level that I've ever seen. She is a co-director also of the Ultimate International Miss Pageant System. Now, do I have it right that your mom
Mhm.
is a director?
Yes, yes, my
Now,
mom and
now,
I started directing for it. Mhm.
now listen. I know you might want to help your mom, but to be co-director, I mean that's another whole world of responsibility. Of like, what made you want to accept that role?
I feel like I am more of a behind the scenes person than I am an on stage person, which sounds so crazy because I have my poetry, I do pageants, I have my TikTok,
Yes.
like it always feels like my face and everything. But kind of going back to that writer first mentality, I've always been a fan of the behind the scenes stuff, especially productions. And now that I've been a pageant queen a few times, it's like, okay, I know what the pageant girls like, I know what they don't like, I know what they want to do.
Wow.
So I'm also kind of looking forward into the future. You know, future Jordan's always in my mind, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of about to enter my last few years of competing. I very much still want to be involved in this industry, and how do I want to do that? Like, I still want to be a coach. I've judged a few times, but I don't like how you can only see the girls for like a split second. So I've decided that like coaching and directing is probably what's going to be best for me. And as someone who is very organized and kind of like I like to show off, but I also really like to show off my girls. So I think it's just going to be awesome.
Wow. Now listen, Jordan. For someone, as you said, who likes to be behind the scenes, everybody, she is a six-time Miss New York. Now, let me ask this question because I read that it said 6 time. Now, is that six time in a row?
Yes. Yep.
Wait.
6 times, and I've been
Jordan,
competing since 2015.
wait. Are you telling me that you've won Miss New York 6 times in a row?
Yep.
Like six consecutive?
Yeah. I lost my first pageant, and then I've won pretty much all the Miss New York pageants I've done after that.
Wow, Jordan, that is phenomenal. So the first one you didn't win, but from then on, you've had 6-0.
Yep.
So I gotta ask you, how do you, first of all, what do you want the judges to see in you?
Lately that I'm relatable. That's been like
Wow.
a really big thing that I've been getting a really big piece of feedback. Actually since getting into Harvard. A lot of people are always like, oh, how's Harvard? Or like, is it like whatever you think it is? But it's like, I think the biggest adjustment is not going to college. That's an adjustment for everyone, no matter where you go, but rather people's reactions to it. That's probably the biggest adjustment point. So I found that every pageant interview I've gone into in the past 3 years, the judges are like, oh, she's a Harvard girl. She must be so obnoxious. And obviously, Harvard's a great opportunity. I'm not going to like leave the school because people think this way about me, but it's just an extra thing I always want to like make very apparent. Like, I have all these very cool things, but really, I'm just a normal girl. I like to watch anime and hang out with my friends. Like, I'm not doing like my day-to-day life does not seem this crazy. It's just that we kind of see all the
Wow.
accomplishments piled into one thing.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, listen, I don't know anyone that has won a pageant 6 times in a row. You're like the Michael Jordan of Miss New York. You're like the phenomenal. I mean, the Florence Johnson. I mean, you're this phenomenal, amazing. I mean, you are the Simone Biles, right, of Miss New York. I mean, you are at the elite level, and it's amazing. And so I want to ask you, without giving up too many tips, I don't want to go into your TikTok or your blog, but what would you say for you was the characteristics that you felt were key to you that helped you to continue to win?
So actually, really fun, crazy fact about all of those state titles, I won them without the help of a coach. I only received coaching for national pageants. Actually, only started receiving coaching a year ago in pageantry. Oh, like pretty much all this has been do it yourself, with just my mom and I. So it's been crazy. But the thing about like getting to that point, it's one, like look at yourself with a critical eye. I feel like a lot of the times you'll kind of sugarcoat things to yourself, but if you're not honest to yourself, who is? So that's one thing you got to keep in mind. And another is just like practicing all the time and making use of all the free resources available to you. Like now with my TikTok, I'm able to afford the coaching, but before that I wasn't. And it was just like, okay, pageantry is like, it's a hobby. It's a hobby I'm taking seriously, but it's still a hobby. Like I'd much rather have my parents spend that money on college or like transportation for me to rehearsals and things like that. So for pageants, it was just like, okay, I'm going to read all of Pageant Planet's articles. I'm going to go on YouTube and watch all these videos. I'm going to listen to the Win a Pageant podcast every single day. I'm going to binge watch Danny Walker, like really taking advantage of all of that. But one thing, actually something a lot of my current people, like friends that know about me, is that I used to be a competitive synchronized ice skater. And I did that from age 8 to 13. So right before I started competing in pageants. And I was on a team that won all the time. So I was like, okay, I still want to win all the time. And something that they always said was the winner is always practicing. So when you're sleeping, the winner's practicing right now. And when I was really preparing for NAM Nationals this past November, where I got first runner up, which is like so awesome. When I was preparing for that and really leading up to every state pageant, I'm like, okay, the winner is practicing right now and I'm going to be the winner. So let me get up and practice right now. So it's like, let me just go and do it. And it comes down to doing everything that you can pretty much every second of the day. And understanding that pageantry should not be the only thing you do. Like the girls who win in a pageant are not just like, okay, I'm pageant Patty. They usually have a platform. Maybe they're in sports. Maybe they're in something else. Maybe they play the violin or some other instrument. Like they do have some kind of outside passion. So don't think that by not practicing your gown walk, you're not preparing for your pageant. You're also preparing for your pageant. For me, when I'm doing this Tic-Tock, when I'm doing a performance for the UN, like all of those things contribute to my pageant prep. So I think that's what's really kind of helped me be successful in it.
Amazing, Jordan. Wow. So let me listen. I'm not gonna skate over this. So I gotta ask you. You were, now make sure, a figure skater?
Yes, a synchronized figure skater. So ice skating, but with 16 to 20 girls on ice at a time.
I think I should probably just drop the mic. If I could drop this mic now, I would drop this mic. Jordan, is there anything that you like can't do? I mean, you listen, y'all. Listen. I had the honor, right? The honor, the privilege of taking her photo, right? So we're talking, right? And I come to learn that she plays the ukulele, right? So I'm like, listen, I'm like, and I bought one too, but so I still need my lessons.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, do you find, I mean, you're so accomplished at such a young age. When you take on a new project, like, have you ever had it where it didn't, I know like in pageantry, the first year it didn't go the way that you had, but how now, how does the now you approach things in terms of if you don't accomplish it in the time frame or in the manner in which you want to, what's your next step?
So something about me is that I'm a chronic starter. When I was little, like, and people would be, say, at recess, like playing games, I was talking, and this is like in fourth grade. I'd be talking to my friend who wanted to be a music artist, and I'd be telling her how we would market her tour. Like,
Wow.
I would be trying to come up with a new magazine and how I really wanted to be a fashion magazine editor for a long time, probably because I was a huge fan of Bratz. And in that, it's like a group of teen girls who run a magazine. So I was like, yes, I'm going to run a magazine. So this is what I've been doing pretty much my entire life. But as you can probably imagine, I've had a lot of things that I've started and dropped and started and dropped.
Right.
So when that happens, I just kind of like, okay, let's move on to the next thing. Like that didn't work, let's go on. And it's just really finding something that works for you and not getting discouraged. I think all of us have that little voice in our brain telling us like, oh, this is not working, you should just stop doing it. And sometimes it's like, okay, that voice is just talking whatever, like it's stupid, I don't want to listen to it. But sometimes there's a reason we should listen to that voice, and it's because it's like letting us know, it's trying to protect us, like don't waste your time on something that won't work. But it's also saying something is wrong here and you need to fix it. Not saying drop the project completely, but just focus on the things that are working and try new things. So for example, with the Kleenex store, I really wanted to expand that into an online boutique. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Like I love clothes. I love wearing clothes, but I don't want to do this. I want to do something else. So then I took away the store part and then just focused on the coaching, which is something new I wanted to try. And now I'm seeing the success that I wanted in that. So it's really just saying like, okay, if I'm hearing like this negative voice that's saying give up, I'm not going to completely ignore it because obviously there's a warning sign, there's a lesson to be learned there. But I am going to kind of adjust what I'm doing right now so I can continue to grow in the way that I want to.
Wow. Wow. All I see is movie. I see documentary about Jordan Sanchez. I'm telling you, you are truly an example that all of us can look up to, of all ages, and to be able to say, wow, that is a phenomenal mindset that you have. And so I got to ask you, well, first of all, can parents hire you to coach their children?
I've gotten so many like questions about that, especially because my mom has a lot of coworkers who are new parents and they know that her daughter got into Harvard. So they're like, what did you do? I want my 5-year-old to get into Harvard and be so successful like your daughter. So one, obviously I help kids with my Happy Jordan consulting, but that's mostly just with like college applications and the skills around that. So it's also kind of professional development when it comes to resume writing and building, when it comes to interviewing, communicating your story, whether that's through an essay or out loud. So it's kind of developing those skills. But a lot of students, especially now, are like, okay, I'm an 8th grader. My dream is to get into Harvard. What do I do? And I don't mentor those students. I don't, because the goal should never be an institution. The goal should never be something out of your control. That's something I truly believe in. Like sometimes going into a pageant, you're like, my goal is to win. Your goal should never be to win because you can't control if you win. Like you can't control if the other girls are good or maybe perform better than you on that day, but you can control how well you perform. So for example, with all the Harvard stuff and all the passion projects that got me there, I'm like, okay, I always tell my kids, do what you love. And if you do what you love, you will outperform anyone else who's trying to do it who doesn't love it. Like a lot of my kids are like, okay, should I join speech and debate? Because a lot of Harvard kids are in speech and debate. I said, no. If you don't love speech and debate, don't do it. Because a kid who loves speech and debate will outperform a kid who doesn't. So if you do what you love, and if you do what you love and just embrace that and give yourself the chance to really get involved in it, you will outperform anyone else in that area. So really, it's just like give yourself the chance to explore what you like and do that to the fullest extent, and you'll be completely fine, like no matter what area of life it is.
Wow. Wow. You're going to come out now with these motivational, you can download an app, Jordan Sanchez app. Now listen, it might already exist. I don't even know it, right? You can download this app and every morning you hit it and it plays and gives you a motivational word. So listen, Jordan, I got to ask you because all of us see the positive and we heard about the negative comments with but what would you say is the most challenging part of being you?
The most challenging part of being me probably has to be one, setting boundaries at this point. Like now I'm at the point, especially with TikTok, where I feel like, okay, I'm going to have to start saying no, because if I accept more things on my plate, then the quality will suffer. And that's something you never want to happen.
Wow. Wow.
But I think it's also just like prioritizing and figure out like, okay, where do you want to go with this next? That's been like the very, very big thing, because I've been doing all these TikTok related appearances or these education related appearances, especially when it comes to like marketing. And they're like, you want to be a physics professor? Like, why do you want to do that? You should like try to be some kind of marketing manager. So right now it's like, okay, let me actually figure out what I want to do. But now with like being an influencer and then also getting to a place in pageantry where I feel like very confident about my performance and I'm starting to get that kind of recognition or acknowledgement at the national level, it's trying to keep my self-worth tied to things that I can control again. So it's like when you lose a pageant, a lot of people are like, oh no, like I was so close, I didn't get it. Like a lot of people thought that's how I felt after getting first runner up. Like it's a bittersweet position to be in because you almost got it, like you did so good, but feels like not good enough. But it's also like I did good. I never placed that damn national, so I'm proud of myself no matter what. And the same thing with TikTok. It's like, okay, this video got 100,000 views. I should be getting 200,000 on the next one. It's like, that's unrealistic. Just focus on what you can control. And for me, it's just like, okay, making sure that the videos I'm putting out is like quality, that the kids still find value in it. So yeah, just reevaluating like where that self-esteem and self-worth come from probably is the hardest part of being me right now.
Wow. Amazing. Wow. Wow. Jordan, all I can say is you are such phenomenal. I mean, I can't listen. I can't even find an adjective that can best describe how amazing you are. And so I got to ask you, listen, you do poetry. I'm reading your bio and I'm reading your words have reached millions. I mean, you're reaching people that are at the highest level of their craft.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how when you write, do you write for you? Do you write for others? What is your driving force when you write?
It really becomes a mix, and this kind of goes back to the changing relationship with your work that I mentioned with TikTok. I've always loved to write. Like my teachers could see this in elementary school. Like once I think I wrote like 5, 6, 7 pages for a lab report in elementary school. And the teacher was just like, wow, you really love to write. I don't know if it was good or not, but I did love to write.
Wow.
So that's something that's always been with me. I did it because I liked it. I have so many like really terribly written first scenes of plays and musicals. Like when I was little, I don't think I understood the concept of playtime because I was just making magazines and musicals and books. Like I don't know what was wrong with me, but that's what I was doing.
Oh my goodness.
And then I didn't take my writing seriously really until middle school. That's when I was like, okay, writing is an outlet for creativity and like frustration and emotion. So I remember seeing this, I think it was just an instance of cultural appropriation. And then I started writing, not really poems, but just kind of like thought pieces about whatever I saw in my community that I didn't like, whatever I saw in the world that I didn't like. And then I got to a point when I was writing with an organization, and that was Girl Be Heard, which is based in New York City. They're a nonprofit dedicated to amplifying, developing, and celebrating the voices of girls and gender nonconforming youth here in New York. And when it came to them, they were like very friendly, and it was like very kind of beginner friendly with the workshops. Like, okay, we're here and we're going to learn about, say, it was actually kind of crazy. You have young kids writing about very serious topics, but it was like, okay, we're here today. We're going to be talking about like self-identity. So write a poem on that. And then it's like, tomorrow we're going to write a poem about mass incarceration. So it's very much like training yourself to write and reflect. And at that point, writing was still, I think, some kind of like self-reflection kind of outlet for me. And it wasn't until I was actually hired for the main stage show that Girl Be Heard runs. And that was actually my very first like paid job, like ever. I was getting paid for my rehearsal time, but as well as the performances. And the 6-month program culminated in 8 shows in the span of 2 weeks. And at that point, that's when I was like, okay, writing is a job. It's not just like Jordan reflecting and saying like, okay, this is how I feel today, so I'm going to write a poem about it. It's like, these people are like, they have a show about, I think it was like Liberty and Justice for Whom. That was the name of the show, Indivisible. So I was like, okay, I need to write to these prompts. Like, I need to seriously write to these prompts, and the work needs to be good, or else I'm not going to get paid. Like, my work isn't going to be featured. It's going to be cut from the show. So that's when I felt like the stakes were really, really rising. And then this is where the always say yes things come in, because when I was a main stage performer, that's when I started to get a lot of my very cool opportunities. I performed at Denai Guerrero's birthday party. I performed for the United Nations the very first time back in 2018. I performed at the March for Our Lives. Like, I opened for Lizzo actually before she blew up. So all of these things happened in 2018. And that happened like when they were releasing those prompts, it wasn't guaranteed that I would have a spot. So for example, with Denai Guerrero's birthday party, they're like, okay, she wants poems to talk about African girls and education. So I was like, okay, I have to write a poem about African girls and education, regardless of my feelings on it. Like, even if I don't have any strong feelings, I mean, obviously as an education major, I do now. But at the time I was like, I want to perform for the cast of Black Panther, so I'm going to write this poem. Right. So it's very much like, okay, do it, get it done. And that program is actually, I think, how I learned to write to a prompt, whether or not I have any strong feelings on something. And that's when I started to see writing a lot of the time as work, both in a positive, but also in a negative way. Cause it's like, I want to enjoy myself. I want to write what I want to write, but it's like, okay, but I have to take care of the work that I said I was going to do. I have to write this poem that could fit for the Statue of Liberty, like for this show. So it's just like kind of prioritizing. And then as I graduated from that program and moved on to Climate Speaks, which was how I got the show at the Apollo, that's when I felt like I could start having a little bit more fun with writing again. I started learning more techniques with like rhythm and rhyming, which I used to like never do. I don't write rhyming poems. And I just really got to explore the artistry of it, really take my time and have fun with one poem in 3 months instead of like 6 in 5 months. Or so it's just like a lot of fun. And now I'm like, okay, writing obviously will get me a job. It's got me like all this stuff before. But I always try to keep some fun outlets. So I'm working on a novel on the side, and that one is kind of more fun, but there's a little voice in my head that's like, okay, make sure it's publishable though. Like, you want to make sure it's actually good.
Jordan, you're working on a novel on the side.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, everybody. So listen, everybody. I'm telling Jordan, if she hasn't done so already, she needs to trademark and brand her name. All right, and she needs to just like, I mean, because everything. What I love about you, Jordan, is that everything you do, you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. And as you said earlier, that is what, listen, you might have somebody that's skilled to do something and somebody that's less skilled, but if they're more passionate, they're going to go further. Yeah. And so I love that about you, because you're so I got to ask you again, because you used the word fun, and I was going to ask you, is it still all fun to you? Because now you've got like people expecting you, right? You got corporations, you got people, you're going to perform, you got people. So now you have all of these expectations. How have you been able to keep it fun, or has it kind of blurred just a little bit on like responsibility, which means I got to be obligated. So I got, you know what I mean? So give us a sense of, is it still fun?
Not all the time. No, definitely not. You know, it's like really not fun spending like 3 hours recording and editing a video, sending it to a company for them to say, we don't want this, try again. Wow. That's not fun, because then you can't like post a video. You feel like you have nothing to show for yourself for all the work that you did that day. So that's not fun. When I was flown out to LA to record videos, like it was 200 lecture videos per course, and I did 2 courses. There were 10-hour filming days. That was not fun. I was like complaining almost the whole time. And then for the UN filming project, probably I think any like activist poet's dream, like performing with or partnering with such a big organization, like filming it, the film crew was amazing, but I was standing for like 6 hours straight. So that wasn't fun either. So it's, and with that one, we spent 6 hours on a 1-minute poem. So that's definitely not fun. So when you kind of like, it's like, okay, overall, I'm enjoying myself. And I always have to remind myself, like, okay, or ask myself, you were complaining a lot today. Your feet were really hurting. Like, are you actually enjoying this? And the answer is usually yes. But I think it's kind of human nature. It's kind of like pick apart like what you're doing and be like, oh, my back hurts. Or like, oh, this sucks. I hate like spending 6 hours editing a video. Like, this is really annoying. But overall, I am enjoying it because like, and I've actually been this way since like high school. I said like I'm only gonna do things that I love. Obviously, aside from the things that I have to do. So I have to do school. I have to take a history class, even if I don't love it. But now I really try to only do things that I love, and that's kind of like narrowing the brands that I could work with. I get a lot of emails like, oh, let's do this, let's do this. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I know each say video comes with its own set of struggles and annoyance and up and downs. But I'm not gonna go through that for a product that I don't love, you know?
Right.
So it's just like making sure you're kind of checking in with yourself and not taking any kind of complaint like to heart, because you might just be having a bad day, you know? Like that's still gonna be fine. Something I have learned though is that I don't like filming, or I don't like being on camera for a whole day. So you probably will never see me in a movie or a TV show unless it's like for an interview and it's seated. And I could just like talk. I don't have to memorize anything. But goodness. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I definitely don't want to do that, but anything else.
Listen, I'm telling you, if your favorite actor or actors came along and said, Jordan, I want you in my film, I think you might make an exception. I mean, that's the thing.
That's the thing. I'm like, always say yes. So I end up getting stuck to it anyway.
And we're gonna pay you a couple of $1 million. Yeah, maybe, right?
But yeah, like that's the thing. It's just like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But it's like really for only special circumstances. Like for this High Meal project, I was like, you know what? I'm only gonna do this again if Masterclass themselves ask me to do something. Then I'll do it. Otherwise, no.
But you know what, Jordan? I'm proud of you that you're making conscious choices, because that is so important, because you do have to balance and you have to take care of you. Like you have to make sure that you're resting, you're eating right, so you got to make sure you take care of you. So I'm proud of you for making those conscious choices and decisions. So I got to ask you, and we're almost at the close. I don't want to keep you much longer, but you talked about a novel on the side. Is there anything else that you can share without breaking any contractual obligations? Is there anything else that you want to do in your, like on your vision board? Is there anything else that you say, you know what, I really haven't done it yet. I haven't begun that journey yet, but I really would love to do that one day.
That's the thing. I feel like a lot of the things that younger Jordan wanted to do, I'm doing right now. So it's like, it's very funny. Awesome. Like a dream that I had ever since I was little was actually be a cheerleader. And then this past semester I was on the cheer team. So I was like, wow, I really am doing everything little Jordan wanted. But I try not to, like, obviously set goals and the things you're pursuing. But I try not to have such like strict limitations or such like strict overall goals, because I really like never know where anything's going to take me. Like right now with this kind of program I'm doing with Sony Music U, I'm like, okay, my big dream with that is to help like some of my favorite artists. Like if I could work with like Harry Styles, I could work with Beyonce, like Adele, all those big artists signed to Sony Music. I'm like, okay, that's my goal for that. But overall, I'm like, okay, eventually I want to publish a book, and I want to go on a book tour. Eventually I want to be on some artists like production crew and like go on tour with them. Eventually, my big goal right now for influencing stuff is when I move into my very first apartment, I don't want to have to pay for anything except rent. That's like my big thing. I want the furniture to be sponsored. I want the dishes to be sponsored. Yes. So I'm like, okay, that's what I want now. But when it comes to like big things in my life where I like have no kind of like footing in it already, I'm like, whatever comes, comes. But I'm trying to think. I think there's one thing actually. Neil deGrasse Tyson, him and I have a lot of similarities. Like we grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same high school and college, lived in the same college dorm, like literally in dorms right next to each other. He went to school with my godfather. So I'm like, okay, and he has my dream job of science communications. I'm like, if there's like one thing that I would like love, love, love to do, then it would basically to have Neil deGrasse Tyson's job of just being like the designated astrophysicist for the entire world.
It's done. It's done. I'm telling you, everybody, the astrophysicist of the world, Jordan Sanchez. Yes, I'm telling you, whatever you set your mind to, Jordan, you can do it. I have no doubt about that. And I love the fact that you're so grounded. You're so, and applause to your mom and to everyone that has supported you along your journey. But is there like any shout outs that you want to give? Your mom, I met her, amazing. Is there anyone else that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, so both my parents, my mom and my dad, it's so funny. People are always asking, like, oh my God, how did you get Jordan to be like this? And they're like, I just stayed out of the way and drove her places. But obviously they do so much more than that. So one, thank you to them for always driving me to my rehearsals and picking me up at like 10 o'clock at night from Manhattan for all those things, or driving me to Florida for the pageant, or driving me here and there. And kind of like being my sounding board, like with all this influencer poetry performance stuff, all of this is new to me. And a lot of people think like, okay, like, yeah, you're doing it now, so you must feel comfortable in it, but it's all new. I'm still learning. So whenever I have a doubt, I'm always talking to my mom and dad about it, especially my dad when it comes to the money things, because he's all about that. And then all of my friends for kind of making me feel normal again. It's like so funny. I don't want to sound like, ooh, I'm such a celebrity, I'm doing all these cool things. But a lot of the time, I think it's really easy to get caught up in like, okay, the UN, like they said I have to edit my poem. So now I'm sitting here all day editing my poem. Or, okay, I have to record this video and I have to get my wardrobe approved by the person sponsoring the video. It's like easy to get caught up in all of those little details and really make that your whole life. But then my friends are like, okay, let's like go get bubble tea. Let's watch anime together. Like it makes me feel very like normal again when I'm not dealing with all this other stuff. So yeah, my friends, family, and yeah, I think it's pretty much it. Of course, like my little sister, just because she's so funny and she like always comes with me wherever I go, but she's like hilarious, so it helps me relax. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, all I can say, Jordan, it's been an honor. I mean, to have met you in person and to talk to you, and I knew from that moment there was something special about you. I mean, just in the conversation, and I love the fact that you're true to you, you're true to yourself, you're focused, you're a visionary, like you know what you want. And again, not saying everything, right? We all at different, but I love the fact that you're sure about who you are. And so thank you for that. Thank you for knowing who you are and just being a wonderful light of inspiration to the world. And I thank you for this time. Listen, is there any more that you want to share with us? Because we want to get all of your social media platforms and contacts and where people can reach out to you. But is there something more that you want to share? One thing I do with our guests, and I ask them at the end of the show, like, what would you say to someone who just couldn't see their dreams? Right? Couldn't. I mean, they're looking at you at such a young age that you've achieved so much, but they haven't even yet maybe taken that first step, or have taken some but haven't reached so many plateaus in life. What would you say to them to encourage them to hold on to their dreams?
Well, one thing, obviously, everyone's always going to say, like, just keep going no matter what. But with that, it's like, okay, keep going, but reevaluate the situation, what's working and what's not. A really common phrase in writing is like, kill your darlings. You have to get rid of the unnecessary stuff, even if you love it, just because it's not working. And you have to think like, okay, what's more important to me? Like prioritizing this and getting the success that I want, or doing this the way I want to do it. And there's no wrong answer, but you have to understand what your mission for that is so you're able to move forward properly. And my biggest advice for anyone, always put yourself out there and always say yes, at least when you're starting out. If you don't say yes, if you don't put yourself out there, people won't know who you are. Like without me starting this TikTok, none of this, we would be having a very different conversation right now.
Wow.
And always think about your future self, even if you don't know exactly where they'll be. Like future Jordan, she might be a music manager touring with Harry Styles, and she might be like a physics professor at Harvard or maybe Columbia or Caltech or some school like that, or she may be doing something completely different that I haven't even thought of yet. But just think like, okay, what can I do today to make my life a little bit better tomorrow, next month, next year? Like really kind of think about things big picture and long term.
Well, everybody, this is Jordan Sanchez, best-selling, I'm going to say it, best-selling author, #1 on the bestsellers list. I'm going to say she's going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Whatever, I'm telling you, whatever, Oscar, Emmy, Grammy, whatever. She's a poet, laureate, national, listen, whatever she sets her mind to, she's going to do. But I'm so proud of you, Jordan, so proud of you, and I thank you. Where can people follow you? Where are all your social platforms, on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok? But give us all of them at this point.
Yeah, so my Instagram is the Jordan Sanchez or the Jordan Sanchez, just TheJordanSanchez. If you search Jordan Sanchez on Instagram, I'm sure I'll pop up. Same thing with my portfolio site. I've decided like, okay, I need to have a bio and portfolio out there because people are asking me to perform. So a lot of my poems are up there at thejordansanchez.com. That's linked in my bio for most of my socials. My Happy Jordan TikTok is just HAPPIEJORDAN. And I'm pretty sure you can find my portfolio site if you just Google like Jordan Sanchez Harvard or Jordan Sanchez poem, like it'll usually come up. But yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm open to talking and stuff like that. Obviously, it may take a little bit to respond because a lot of things are in my email inbox and stuff. But yeah, I'm always open to talk and just make connections with people.
Well, Jordan, I thank you so much, and to your mom for setting this up and coordinating with me. Listen, it took about 9 months, y'all, to get Jordan free. I'm just kidding. But it took a long time because she's traveling. She's all over the world, and she's doing so. But thank you so much. I'm truly honored, Jordan, that you accepted the invitation to come on our broadcast. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to all of our viewers and our audience and those who will see it down the road, right? The future them that will see this and learn to believe in themselves and know that they too can be a Harvard student, soon to be graduate. They can be a writer. They can be a media mogul, right? Social influencer. They can be all of that. And someone that they can look to and say, you know what? If Jordan can do it, I think I can do it too. So thank you so much, Jordan.
Yeah,
we appreciate
thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's been an honor. Everybody, please, Jordan Sanchez, thank you so much. And please, we're going to have to get you back again when you get all of your awards, when you get your new job, when you get and guess what? Just so you know, not only will your furniture be sponsored and everything in it, your actual room and building is going to be sponsored. You're going to have your own building. Yes, your own condo or whatever it is. But that's even going to be sponsored. So we're so proud of you and excited for what's coming next for you. And just continue to please take care of you because you are most important. So outside of all of the other stuff that you do, you are most important. And we thank you so much for sharing a little bit of you on our platform. Thank you, Jordan. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Everybody, again, this is Troy Alexander Inspiration with Troy Alexander. We come on every week to inspire you to dream. And you know what our motto is, dream, take that step and walk with purpose into your destiny. Thank you so much. Listen, our but our special time and day next week will be Thursday, the 12th at 7 p.m. You don't want to miss this amazing show with this young lady. Oh my, listen, she is changing the athletic world in wrestling. Yes, she is. The whole school platform. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this phenomenal show on the 12th of this month, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Jordan, so much. Have a great night. And everybody, hold on to your dream. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.